My name is Michael Dana. In 2008, I was diagnosed with a rare brain cancer, and after 6 years, I was cancer-free. But the ordeal left me changed, with a different outlook on life and a new sense of priorities. While still recovering, I earned a degree in economics from UNC Chapel Hill. My studies taught me to analyze data and open my mind to see things differently. I also started formal training in the martial arts to better defend myself and use it as a means of extreme physical therapy. Since then, I've obtained black belts in 3 martial arts. I own and run a martial arts school and have logged over 51 teaching hours. To my friends and family, I'm a simple business owner. But to the martial arts world, I'm something else. I am Sifu Mike, and this is Dragon Theory. Hey guys, how's it going? So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about sparring, okay, and how it is used in different martial arts schools as far as teaching is concerned, how it's an amazing business tool. So make sure to stick around and watch the entire video so you know about the ins and outs and workings of sparring and how to correctly apply it to your school and how it is used in business and stuff like that. So first I'm going to talk about what is sparring, and then I'm going to talk about the nature of sparring, and then I'm going to talk about how to use it in a business sense. So make sure, like I said, watch the entire thing. Now a lot of this is already on tape in videos on my website, thedragonmethod.com. Alright, so if you want to skip this thing, just go straight there. Make sure you have to register and pay some money and stuff like that. But I am doing a offer right now where I'm basically giving you a 1-year free trial, right? So you can watch all my videos on there. I got like 24 hours of footage at least. Lots of stuff on there, video tutorials on how to teach martial arts and how to do martial arts, alright? I got all kinds of stuff on there, man. I've been in mixed martial arts for a while. So that is thedragonmethod.com. Alright, so make sure to check out thedragonmethod.com. Anyways, that's my marketing spiel. So I'm going to go right into the talking about sparring and essentially what it is. Now, for the sake of simplicity, in this video I'm going to be using the term sparring, but really, depending on the martial art, they have a whole lot of different names for the same thing. And that's one of the big things you're going to encounter a lot if you do mixed martial arts. That's what I encounter all the time, is the names. It can be one of the most frustrating things ever, because you have several different names for the same thing, and it's all depending on the context of martial art or the part of the globe that it came from, right? So sparring, in some places, is called kumite, alright, or bandori, or free practice, or rolling, okay, or basically working the situation, right? So it's got a lot of different words, all the same thing. Now, the thing about sparring is that it is different from a two-person form or kata or drill in this respect. In a drill or a kata or two-person form, both parties know kind of what each other are going to do, right? So it's kind of almost choreographed and scripted. They know what to expect. They're pricing a certain thing, right, within that kind of situational sparring two-person form scenario, right? Now, with actual sparring, you have the presence or the variable of no knowledge, right? So you don't really know exactly what your partner or partners, if you're fighting multiple people, are going to do at a specific time. They might telegraph or lead, you might be able to figure out, or they might have different contacts or rule sets that govern what you can do within that situation, but you still have the if. You're like, okay, what are they going to do, and what am I going to do in response? So some people preempt that and they go first, right? But that's the main difference, is that you're working techniques in a situation, right? And the what you do is unknown until you actually do it, right? Whereas with a drill, you know what you're going to be doing from the very get-go, right? Same thing with a two-person form or whatever. So the difference there is the unknown aspect. Now, in both cases, you're working a set of techniques within a situation. All right, so lots of different techniques within a situation, and the situation can be different depending on the rule set, depending on where you're at, right? And so there's a whole lot of different variables within that, but you're still working the particular situation. That's the thing they all have in common, right? And like I said, every martial art has this. I mean, even in Tai Chi, they have this thing called push hands, which is like their version of sparring, right? In some Filipino styles, they have like tappy tappy, which has a set amount of patterns and stuff in that situation, in that context, which is like sparring. All right, so it kind of fits the definition of working several different types of techniques within the confines of a single situation. Now, it can also be in sports, like I said. You're still working within that situation. You're still an unknown, but you can do things for like points, right? So they have tournaments where they have like continuous sparring and point sparring, and even in grappling settings, you have things where you can just get points, or it's like for a set amount of time, and you see who is getting like the most amount of points or the submission within that amount of time. So there are just infinite number of rules in that, but it is working the situation, very much working that. I will say this, because of that, like I said, it can be the very best teaching technique if used correctly, or it can be terrible. And unfortunately, a lot of times it's terrible, because the thing about sparring is that is very good at teaching you what you need to do at the time. Okay? Teaching you what you need to do. It will never, ever, ever, ever teach you how to do it. Okay? And that's a big key difference as far as what is a form or what is a sparring situation. If you don't know the techniques within that situation, you're not going to get a whole lot out of it, other than that, hey, you need to learn the techniques that are used in that situation. Okay? But that situation isn't going to be the thing that actually tells you how to do that stuff. Right? You have to have an instructor for that. Sometimes the instructors rely on the partner, right, whoever you're sparring with, to kind of give you tips as far as what you're doing, and the hopes that that will somehow bleed in through. But you don't really get that many reps. Okay, you know, I can have somebody hit a bag a whole lot more times than I can have them hit another human being. Right? Human beings are going to fall down after a while. Right? So it's a limited resource. Right? So there's a different way of training to train the things within the sparring before you actually work the situation, because a lot of times what people get out of that situation is that, remember, it tells you what you need to know, right? So a lot of people, they get out of it that if they're bigger, or if they're stronger, or if they know more techniques than the other person, they're going to come on top, right? And there's a competitive nature to most people to this thing, and a lot of it's done as sport, and so they want to win. Right? Sometimes they don't want to win because of like technical prowess or whatever. They just want to win. And if you're always winning, you're not really learning. Okay? They say failure is the greatest teacher. Right? So you learn a lot by knowing exactly what not to do. Right? Still, you got to learn how to do something. Right? Trying to basically spar without knowing the components within sparring is like trying to like cook a meal without all the ingredients, or not even really knowing how, or trying to build a table without knowing how to hammer a nail first, kind of deals. And so there's a whole lot of steps that go up to that situation, that if you learn those first, when you do get this situation, you'll do a whole lot better, because you've got all these different tools that you can pull from and use within the context of that situation. But if you try to learn those things while you're working the situation, you're just getting unnecessarily trauma. All right, it's you know, your body is getting all kinds, like, you're either getting hit or you're getting your arms broken or whatever like that. It really pains me to meet people who talk about in their journey to learn self-defense they got injured, and I'm kind of like, that literally defeats the purpose. If you're trying to learn something for the purpose of keeping you safe from injury and then getting injured while doing it, you messed up somewhere, you know, and maybe not so much you, but whoever is supposedly teaching you and allowing you to do this thing that they know or they should know that you're not ready for it. That's another thing, all right? So we have the working the context and how you'll get more out of it, out of the situation, if you know more to use in it, right? So, going on to the next part, sorry, I'm yawning because it's, I do that all the time. I even named a podcast after it. So, going on to the next part and talking about how complicated sparring actually is. A lot of people don't know all of the techniques that actually go into what you would have in this situation, right? So we're actually I'm going to focus on boxing, and at the end of this, or somewhere in this video, I'm going to throw up a graphic and kind of give you a visual representation of what I'm talking about. Now, starting off, I'm an economist, so I think of it in terms of like an equation, right? And so I'm looking at like the situation of boxing sparring as an equation, right? So the graphic that I put up is going to be of an equation to kind of highlight just how absolutely absurdly complicated just boxing sparring is. And really, boxing sparring is like probably the most simple of the sparring situations you could possibly be in. There's probably a correlation between that and the fact that it's one of the more popular sports or combat sports as far as the world is concerned, right? So, boxing sparring. All right, I'm going to break it down for you. So, we talk about our offense first. We got some punches, all right? Your straight punches, your hooks, your uppercuts, okay? 3, but technically 4 for using terminology of jab, cross kind of deal. So, like, you have 4 punches. There's really 3 ways of doing those 4 punches. Alright, so you're going to have your punches, and you have your 3 ways of doing them. And then you have what your feet are doing. Alright, so you have your stance, and then you have your movement. Okay, so that's another variable in the equation. So we got 2 things. And then we have your, I got a cheat sheet I'm looking at. You have your defense, right? So the punching is your offense. Your defense is going to be stuff like head movement. Okay, it's going to be stuff like clinch work. Okay, there's a whole lot of clinch work that you can do within the boxing situation. Right, so that's another 2 things. Okay, we combine all those 2, and then we multiply that to a factor of cardio. Right, cardio and your strength and your conditioning, because all of the technique in the world isn't going to help you if you're too tired to use it. Right, so it is vitally important, and the more of that you have, the better you're going to be at the other things, all right? The stronger you are, the better you're going to be able to punch, right? Because you have more mass, and you're delivering force, and force is a factor, or mass is a factor of force. Gotta get my physics right. I'm an economist, so I'm doing my best, man. Just good on the philosophy and drawing correlations and analyzing stuff. Okay, trying to break it down, make it simple for you. But we got your punches, we got your footwork, we got your defense. That's, like I said, I was going to put that into 2 things. So that's a whole nother deal, right? And then all of that is multiplied by like your cardio, right? Then it doesn't stop there. Okay, now we've got your strategy. Okay, strategy can be a lot of things. I'm just lumping a bunch of variables into what is your strategy, because you can have different rule sets, different time limits per round, different number of rounds. You can have a different size matchup as far as the body type that you're going against. Are they bigger than you? Are they taller than you? That kind of deal. You have the knowledge aspect of like, do they know more? Do they have a bigger record than you or whatever like that? So there's all those kind of variables within that. We're just going to put that all in one, because that by itself is another complex thing. Alright, so we put all these things together in one big equation, and that equals your boxing sparring. Alright, we're also going to put in other variables like the type of gloves you're wearing, or whether or not you're wearing headgear, or foot gear or whatever, or even location. We're just going to put all of that in the strategy category because that again can affect what you are doing. So again, complicated, right? That's just boxing, right? If we add in kicking, like kickboxing, then you have like 10 different kicks, multiple ways of doing those, different levels. You can do head kicks, medium kicks to the body. You can also do kicks to the legs, right? So you have lots of different kicks, and you have a different way of standing for that. You have a different type of movement for that. And you have multipliers like spinning and then jumping and spinning, right? You can snap, you can thrust, so there's a lot more variables to that. And then you have like, well, maybe it's they allow takedowns. Okay, well, in takedowns you can have stuff that attacks from the waist up to take a person down. That's commonly in judo, right? If you have stuff that takes a person down from the waist down, right? You see those techniques in like judo, not judo. I already said judo. Wrestling. Get my words right. A lot of words. All right. So you have those two different martial arts. They're all dedicated to the same thing of taking a person to the ground, right? So you have different techniques within that, right? And by the way, all of this is still multiplied by your cardio, right? Again, all the technique in the world isn't going to matter if you're too tired to use it, all right? So we have that. We have the ground game aspect, which is what you commonly see in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. So we have a whole another martial art just for that one little aspect, right? And then it doesn't even stop there. You have weapons. You can put that variable in the mix. You can put the variable of like, are they wearing a gi? Okay, same thing though. It's like our body type, location, rule set. I mean, it is incredibly complex, right? If you don't have a decent understanding of what you're doing, you probably shouldn't be doing it, or you run the risk of getting lots of trauma of some sort, either getting punched or having your arm broken, or wrist, or whatever like that. It's just, you're doing yourself a disservice, right? You deserve so much better. And I'm literally speaking from experience because I came from a school where we did a lot of sparring and it was fun, okay? Which is going to bring me to my next point, right? And how you can actually utilize this very effectively in a business setting. So the thing I want you to understand is that what is typically good for a business is actually not good for the customer. Okay, they have two different priority sets, right? And I'm going deep dive economist on you. Most businesses, they want to profit maximize. They want to get as much money as they can from their customers without spending a whole lot. Now, the customers want to also not spend a whole bunch and get as many of the items as they can, all right, and have it last long, right? So they want their items to last long so they don't have to repurchase them, whereas the business needs that repetition. They need people repeat business, right? So the two literally have one wanting to make as much money as they can from the other one who wants to save as much money as they can. They literally are opposed, right? And so you kind of have that in martial arts. 9 times out of 10, what is really good for a martial art business may not be the best thing for the student. Okay, so keeping that in mind, we're going to look at sparring from a business and a teaching standpoint as far as, you know, making money, right? And so this actually is pretty cool when you think about it. Hopefully you're you don't watch this video like crap. But no, so going from a business standpoint, from a teaching standpoint, if I do a lot of heavy sparring, I'm not actually teaching a whole lot of techniques. I'm just teaching a situation. They're slowly learning the techniques. It's almost the same as if you have a person who has never done a bench press before, right? And they go and they want to bench press their body weight. And say they're like me, they're 140 pounds, they're tiny, right? They put 140 pounds on the bar and say, go, right? I'm gonna, like, if I'm doing it, if that's me, right, in this example, I'm gonna struggle. It's gonna be hard. I'll eventually get there, but it's gonna take a very long time. In that process, I'm going to spend lots of money in tuition, right? So, also, if I happen to get hurt, it's okay because I signed a contract, right? And so my money is going to this place regardless. And that's places that have contracts. There's another aspect where, like I said, from a teaching point, this is great. You know, I don't have to do anything. I just let people go and make sure they don't like hurt each other and they enjoy it. Because a lot of people do enjoy it. It's fun. It releases good chemicals in the brain. But like I said before, if you're always winning, you're probably not really learning, right? You gotta win and learn situation here. And if you're like, and I've met so many people who really love the idea of competition, but because they get that on almost a weekly basis or daily basis in some places, then they actually never actually go to a tournament to actually fight somebody to have a record, you know, because they're getting this all the time. So why bother going to a tournament and doing it there when they can get it on like a Tuesday kind of deal? And so you have that aspect there of like the people really enjoy it. They don't want to go out and have to go way out of their way and cut weight and stuff like that to do a tournament. They can just do it on a random day of the week and be fine, right? So they enjoy it. They just don't know what they don't know, honestly. They don't know all the different techniques that can go in there. You as the instructor should, but if you just tell them to spar, it's all right. Now, like I said, from a business standpoint, this is good. They stick around longer, they spend more money. They also have to buy gear because everybody has to have something for this two-person sparring work to go on. Like even guys, they have to have the mouthpiece and the groin protector. All right, some ladies have to have that as well. And so at the very minimum, you have that if there's like face contact. So you have, and then you have headgear and gloves and everything. There's a whole bunch of gear that you could sell a person if you have them spar all the time, right? So that's pretty good, right? You can get them to buy a whole bunch of gear. Even if they only use it like once or twice, they still have bought it. And 10% of your monthly revenue needs to come from merchandise sales. That's what I read in a magazine. So, like I said, very good for the business. You've got that longevity aspect, you've got the merchandise selling aspect, and you don't have to actually teach that much. Okay, just have people rock them and sock them robots. So it's really kind of funny that you can really open up a martial arts school without ever actually knowing martial arts or teaching martial arts and make it a very profitable business. Okay, it's interesting that some people use the term McDojo, right? And they liken a martial arts school to McDonald's, all trying to make money and belt factories and stuff like that. And they call it a McDojo, and it's a derogatory term. But they never actually talk about Burger King, right? And how Burger King was the competition to that. And they never relate that to martial arts. I'm totally going to relate that to martial arts because you may not be a McDojo, but you might be a sparring king, right? You might be doing a whole bunch of sparring because it's very profitable, right, to keep people happy because, like I said, it releases some good chemicals. They feel like they've done something. May not have actually learned that much. So it's kind of a give or take as far as that is concerned, right? So, but from a teaching standpoint, not good. Not good at all. Can be if you know how to use it right. Now, if you go to thedragonmethod.com, I tell you how you use it right, right? I've got whole videos just all about how to teach and what to do, how to best make it most effective for the person that you're teaching, right? Because that's my goal. I want you to be the best you possible. All right, so you go to thedragonmethod.com and check out my videos there. You can also like, subscribe, follow, and all this stuff here on my YouTube channel, tkfmma. You can find me on the Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, and I got a lot of stuff. tkfmma, The Dragon Method. All right, that's everywhere, man. Even my website, my other website is tkfmma.com. Okay, lots of stuff. tkfmma, thedragonmethod.com. Keeping it all real, man. This is a long one. I've split it up into a couple different videos for you, so easily digestible kind of splitting of stuff. Hope you learned something, And definitely check back here next week, so I'm always doing these things, okay? Alright, take it easy.